Let's return to what is happening over there at Labour HQ, the purge of the lefties. We've got a whole crock of left-wingers here, and it's also in some other parties as well. I think to understand this, you have to understand Keir Starmer, and anyone who can do that, well, good luck. You get a coconut and a house point. I have no idea really what Keir Starmer stands for, other than the insatiable desire to win an election free of any political ideology or grounded template of philosophical ideas of where his party needs to go. It's about the win. Look, he's not the first person to harbour a vacuous state of pretty much nothingness when it comes to the entirety of what he stands for, and he won't be the last. But right now, he is the current guy predicted to be our next Prime Minister. And of course, the last thing he needs are those pesky old Corbynites sniping from the back. Look, I tend, and I don't think I've ever said this sentence before, I tend to agree with Diane Abbott. Diane, I know, it's a crazy situation to be. I agree with Diane Abbott. What the hell is going on? She's been there 37 years. Keir Starmer's been there 37 minutes, pretty much, when it comes to experience in politics. I can't think of anything I've ever heard Diane Abbott say that made much sense. Her politics are from the Venezuelan school of political thinking, 1976, and I can't imagine what the good people of Hackney are thinking when they go to the ballot box. However, I always say this, we ain't North Korea. If the good people of Hackney say, well, she might be, you called her a half-wit, Collins. If she might well be, but she's their half-wit. And that's the way this stuff works, all right? Faiza Shaheen was hoping to be the Labour candidate against Ian Duncan Smith. She had it all worked out, a new mum with everything to play for, but she committed the fatal error. And this is the bit that bugs the living daylights out of me. She liked a couple of tweets. Now, look, my own guess on this stuff is that she liked those tweets, perhaps inadvertently. That is actually quite easy to do in the cesspit that is Twitter, with traffic coming in at 10,000 miles an hour, bombarded with a cacophony of opinions every 2.1 seconds. So yes, it is possible to do that. I would imagine she very much sits in a place where she would be highly critical of Israel. And the last time I looked democratically, there's nothing wrong with that. So look, I get the fact that Keir Starmer doesn't want her in the tent or even just outside the tent. But the idea that you lose your potential livelihood because you hit a heart button on social media is a bit flipping weird. Lloyd Russell Moyle, we'll play you a clip in a little bit of Lloyd Russell Moyle. If you're unfamiliar with the Brighton MP's work, he's a very passionate left-winger. He's appeared on this programme and on Talk many times over the last few years. Somebody makes an allegation, which he completely denies, of course, going back many years, and he's dropped from the job. He loses his career based on somebody saying, yeah, I want to report this. Now, of course, you take stuff seriously. He thinks it's some kind of stitch-up. His critics would say he would say that, wouldn't he? To lose your livelihood over all of this. So you've got Diane Abbott, you have this curious situation with Faiza Shaheen, and of course you have Mr. Russell Moyle, to name just three. There could be many, by the way, all of whom are likely to lose their livelihood based on the fact that the leader ultimately doesn't want that contingent of Corbynites knocking around. Now, of course, the short answer to this, as I think Julia was alluding to, is that it's his party. He can do with it what he wants. But he's not afraid that these people won't win their seats. It's that very scenario he's afraid of. They will win their seats. And of course, as he moves through Parliament, the fewer those left-wing Corbynites he can have in the party, the better. So I'm not even sure whether I blame him. But I am distressed by living in a world where the mere sniff of an accusation, the mere slip of a keyboard that presses the word like, will remove your livelihood potentially for good. And I think we should all be a little bit uncomfortable with that, shouldn't we? 0344 499 1000. Even Darren Johnson. Darren Johnson has been, you want to be familiar with Darren Johnson, a Green Party member. He's been on the London Assembly. He's spoken about green issues. Again, I couldn't think of any kind of synergy that I could form with Darren Johnson, but he's been there a long time, very passionate about his stuff, very passionate about, obviously, trying to advance the ideology of the Green Party. He's done it for nearly 4 decades. He's also been dropped, but by the Green Party, because he didn't subscribe to their idea of what gender is. Yeah, this is a guy that actually set up the LGB, as it was then, organisation within the Green Party. He's a gay man himself, set this up years ago before anybody else was talking about this stuff, and now finds himself, ironically, kicked out the party for a wrong think. And that's the bit that bugs me. That's the bit that bothers me. We're not North Korea. We need a rich diversity of political thought and ideas. Imagine if you just had one party. Well, see China for details. See North Korea for details. That's what you'd be dealing with. So yes, you can get rid of who you like, but the idea that people are got rid of because they don't think like we do is kind of a bit disturbing, right? There's something disturbing about that.